All right, so we are going to chat about product sneak peeks. These are product releases that are going to come out later in September. So they're not in here right now, but we wanted to highlight some of the functionality that's coming because we know, you all need to plan for these switches. As much as we'd like to move all the buttons around on you just to mess with you, we don't actually want to do that. We'd like you to be up to date on the pieces and parts. So there are a few updates to the UI, overall changes, and then we've got some things around recommendations and some assessment components that I think you really will be interested in and have asked for. Kirk, I know I always talk fast, and I want to get in as much of this before you have to jump off as I can, but I will go slow enough, hopefully, that everybody can keep up. The first is just a general overall change in the way we're going to do some reporting. So I don't think we are absolutely hiding a button on you. So let's see what that looks like. This will happen in all of the pages. Right now we have it in just about 3. So in budget forecast, normally at the top, you see detailed view, spreadsheet view. If you look over on the right-hand side, we're getting ourselves some more room along the way, right? We're getting ourselves some header space. You've got detail view and spreadsheet view. Okay, so all of the pages are going to switch to this. Any place where we have tabs, right, like global settings, company settings, we're going to get this drop down. The other piece is, you might notice that looks a little different. What changed there, right? So some of the padding, those of you that are on super wide monitors have said you don't like the fact that all of the components were on the left and all of the dollar signs, et cetera, were on the right. So it's been centered and it has tidied it up so it looks a little prettier on the screen. So Dave, I can see you nodding. Rafi, you know what I'm talking about then. So that'll be an overall refresh on a lot of the pages. I bring that up first because we're definitely going to see some new options where those tabs, we just needed to get some more real estate. So first up, recommendations. Bum, bum, bum. Ooh, pretty. I see William's face light up. Jeff with some head nods, right? So we have card view. So if you look in the top right side, list view is still there. The roadmap still there. They will stay because for printing, that makes sense, right? Printing cards is weird when you get to 47 columns. But we now have the option for a board view for the roadmap. So this is by quarter, and I want to walk through some of these pieces as well as by status. So this works exactly as you would want it to work. You can take a recommendation and drag it and move it to a new column, and it will do a few things. First, you will see at the top, it updates the number of tickets in that particular column. It will give you a total cost for that column. If you move into a new year, it will add the next 3 quarters as well. So, that way it'll add the new column so you don't have to figure out how to create it. It will also, when you go into it, it will update the date range to be the first day of that quarter with however many days you had put in the original. So if it was a 30-day event, it'll be a 30-day event. If it was a 3-month project, it'll be a 3-month project, etc. We are making this so that it will have it'll have a little statement if it spans multiple months. Let me go ahead and build one of those and change that. Hopefully some of you have noticed the date picker has changed. So it's more like shopping on Delta now, which is a little more annoying, but when it goes across multiple, did I span a quarter or am I still within the same quarter? I'm still within the same quarter, sorry. If I want to go from August through October and save my recommendation. So you can see at the top row here that it expands over to another quarter. So you can tell that this project recommendation spans multiple quarters, but there's $0 cost in that next quarter, 1 quarter over. You can see all of the statuses along here. So when I filter by a status and I just want to see those that are proposed, you can limit that so that you can then, be in a QBR and move the recommendations where you would want them to fall. I'm going to move this back. When I do, I lose the rest of that year. And again, we have so filtering by status, if I create the customer accepted ones, it limits the list. These statuses, don't forget, are customizable. So if you go into account settings, recommendation settings, you can create these statuses. So that is what is controlling which of those columns. If I turn all of these on, they will all show up, and I'll show you where that would land. I've turned some of them off for us. So you can add new statuses now that you have that drag and drop functionality, or will have it when it's released. And you have a gear to manage columns. This is just whether or not you want to include not scheduled, overdue, completed, and declined. We have had some folks say, I want to just see completed so we can show you what they've done. We've had some folks say, I want to show just what they've declined so that we can, say these are all of the things that you've turned down, and we keep track of that. So hopefully we're solving all of those problems for you. I'm going to switch from the roadmap board to the status board. So this is now what is proposed, what is customer accepted, planned, and completed. So I see some head nods on that, right? It makes sense where they land. But if you're trying to get a sense of maybe prioritizing, right, which one would come first, which ones we really want to talk about, this gives you a better control of that. So as Mark would say, comments, questions, or emotional outbursts on this one?
My only question is the declined column, can you customize that, move it over between proposed and accepted, or is it just where it ends up on the end?
Good question. Can I put it between proposed and accepted? I think it goes in the order. I'll have to ask on that one. I am not sure what, let me just click here real quick and see if this, so you can drag it around from here.
Oh, perfect.
So if you want it you wanted it between proposed and accepted. So goodness.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. Seems like you get to control that.
We're all learning.
Apparently it'll go everywhere but between proposed and accepted.
I know, it really didn't want to. I'm glad it wasn't just, I was like, oh, while I'm here, notice before you had a blue button at the right-hand side that say return to recommendation settings or whatever, we're changing this to a back arrow all over the place. So, I mean, everybody's fairly familiar with the back functionality, but for a second, you're going to try to figure out how to get back and you've lost your button, but it's right there. So let me go back into recommendations, and yep, the declined column has moved to where you want it to be. You can create a new recommendation in a column. So if you wanted to, I'll just create one under planned. Notice when you do this, they are going to update it so that it automatically populates in that date range. So that is something they are still working on. But I will say,
do you just have like a date that like literally is like Q1 23 versus, because like a lot of times it's, you have like a,
sometime in there.
Yeah, it's like that way it just kind of like aligns with the quarters.
That makes sense. I have asked them to choose the day to auto select just the first month of that quarter, right? So if they're moving it, they auto select the first day of the month with the number of days after it. But if you create a new one, I will have to ask where that natively lands.
It's like if you could almost have like just like a Q1, Q2 like button across the bottom and just have it like generically plop into that quarter. That'd be really cool.
I just realized I was in the status board, not the roadmap board. So let's create one in Q1 and see what it does. It automatically puts it across the whole.
Yeah, that works. That's cool.
So it auto populates if you put it in there. So this is
I'm totally down for a beta.
In a shocking turn of events, William's in. Like it.
Let's be clear, William was a customer when the whole platform was a beta.
Same
so-
here.
I seem
For me-
to adopt people when they're like just right in the beginning, and
Yeah.
it's good, and I'm glad I do.
You should have your beta be to your Patreon members.
Question, how will we best utilize that, what is that called? That little projectability for,
Oh, the probability slider?
probability.
Okay, so right now, folks are using it to say, well, I feel like, you know, the likelihood of them accepting this is 15%, right? It's not a good probability. So this is more for your own tracking of what's the likelihood that this sale actually happens. Eventually we will have reporting off of that, because sales teams like to know, right, where they are in the funnel. This is 90%. They're going to do this. This is, you know, this is done. They haven't signed it yet, but we know it's going to happen. Right now it's just strictly view access, right? So it's probably more impactful when you have reporting across multiple clients of what's in the 90%, right? If we're trying to drive sales, what do we do to get it over the line in the next quarter, et cetera?
That's great, but is that customer facing then? Because I don't think I want my customers seeing that.
No, not in the printout. Yeah.
Okay, but in like if you present it online or something like that, it is still, isn't it?
Oh, that is a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
now that we have
happened
the
to us
card
when we
view,
were-
it is if you click into one of them. So maybe just leave them all at 0 for the short term. But
Sure.
I'll actually see if I will get them to,
Make it removable, because that would be really
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
We did a presentation yesterday, just so you know. And one of the things that popped up was that, like, what's the probability mean? I'm like, that's a good question.
yeah. It's the likelihood of you
where-
saying yes. But we
It's where the
probably
points
just
are made
wanna
up
show
and the whatever don't matter, you know.
Yes, yes, whose line is it anyway? I like it. That's exactly right. So other comments on this other than 3 cheers, I assume?
It looked like you can drag them up and down. Are you able to drag
Yeah.
them from quarter to quarter?
Yes, and that it will,
That's beautiful.
it'll move the date to the first, that's where I was saying it moves it to the first day of the first month of that quarter and just adds. So if it was a 19-day window, it just moves 19 days starting at the first of the next quarter.
You pretty much are gonna never see me in the other views ever
Well,
again.
we assume that most people will live here, but again, if you want to print it out, then you may need the other view because
Honestly,
will get
this works
great.
pretty well for like if you could have some kind of report generated from there, because it's a nice visual, like kind of what we're thinking for the next, you know.
Yeah, the problem
be
is
a
I
little
can't
long,
control the
but-
8 pages, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so for now, the printout version would suggest the other. But I think if you're presenting, or you can of course screenshot this and upload it, you know, as a screenshot in there. I do think this is a very nice looking view, but because it's so dynamic, you probably want to be in there showing them as you go along.
Marnie, would you just go back real quick into the status settings page where you can
Yeah.
create custom types?
So it's under account settings, recommendation settings, and you can create clearly.
So in here, even declined, you could edit and
Yep.
then save it if you wanted this to say something else.
Yep. If you want this to be revisited, you can
Yep.
change that right now.
Yep.
And remember, you select one to be default. And then you have to select one of the status colors because we're taking all of these words and trying to define when they're going to land in each of the status.
I told you so.
Yes, the I told you so
I
status.
think I told you so,
I'm-
column. I
I'm
like
a
Well, it's
fan of
going
that.
to the, I
Change it.
liked Alex's comment about, putting yourself defensible, but, yeah.
I get it. There's a you have to walk the line between people don't like you and you're defensible, right?
Change it to
Um,
I can't believe you declined.
Yeah.
I like that one, Dave.
Matt, it will hold the view that you were last in. So it keeps you, if you're on the, I know you're like, I don't want to click on that spreadsheet view. I just want to see this view. It'll just stay. William will never know that there's another view after this one ever again. And neither will Matt.
I mean, I might use the other roadmap,
Yeah,
the other,
status board.
the status board. That's
Yeah.
pretty slick too.
Yeah, yep. Okay, so moving on from recommendations, we now have some pieces with assessments. So with the assessment component, I want to show a few things.
Hey, Marnie, I know it's not printable, but is that last view that we had available in Report Builder yet?
No,
Okay. Jeff said he can see using that with a customer, and I can totally see that. Like there's
Oh.
going to be some.
absolutely.
Some
Yeah.
value
None
in
of these components are in a report builder quite yet. So,
Yeah. But the goal is to get that one in Report Builder, Jeff, in the online version,
presentation mode.
maybe not in the printable version.
Yeah, presentation mode, definitely right there. Say, hey, well, let's do this here. No, I want to do that here. Okay, you're the boss. Let's move it to next
Yeah,
month.
just move
Yep.
it around. Yeah.
Yep.
We've actually already had people say like, oh, I want to read access only to let the client, or not read access, but to be able to
Yeah.
read it themselves. I mean, it's your call, right? but,
Yeah.
but maybe you could limit a view to just proposed and they could accept it or something. We'll have to think on that.
It just reminded me of a lean management exercise. We're using the sticky notes to gather consensus. And
Yeah, it
it's
really
like, oh my
does.
gosh, I'm seeing it right in front of me.
Yep.
Wow.
So can anybody see what's new on this screen?
I see tags.
You see tags, that's what's new on this screen. So that's not the only thing, but we will talk about tags first. So what was it, 2 weeks ago? We talked about levels and how in every category you could have, you know, this is a level 1 item, this is a level 2, think CMMC. We have folks that want to be able to say, this is quarter 1. So I've got 7 minutes of Kirk left. So Kirk, you could get quarter 1, quarter 2, right? So this is a master assessment, and we are going to look at these items in quarter 1, etc. We have partners that have asked, we want to assign this to a customer versus to the MSP, or even the responsibility of the tier 1 tech versus the tier 2 tech is going to score this. Right now, this is across the template itself, not the individual event. So I always want this item to be level 1. So I think that's an important, as you're thinking about the use cases as you may use it, that's important to think about. I'm currently in the form view. We're moving to a lot of icons at the top and to save some more space. There's now a new filter by tag icon. When I filter by tag, I could see, I just want to see the tier 1 questions in this view, right? So now I've limited this assessment to just questions that are tagged tier 1. I can switch from form view to some of the other views, and I will just get those tier 1. So imagine if this was quarter 1 and I only wanted to print out the assessment items from that quarter. I could tag it as quarter 1. You can multi-select tags, right? I can limit the assessment to a category, etc. I'm going to deselect that tag because there's some powerful pieces in the new reporting piece. So up here on form, and I think Greg Webb, you on this call? All right, he's probably sitting next to a napping
I
baby.
am, but it's loud in the background. Yep.
Okay, all right, love it. Just pay close attention because this is all going to go to report builder this way, right? So when I go to form, I can go from form view to summary view. So we've got a new pretty summary view of each of the categories, where they land, right? The red, yellow, green, along with the response distribution. So this replaces that cover, that top summary view that was the table with the red, yellow, green. This also will have some better formatting once we get it into Report Builder with the download. Greg, this wasn't the one. The next button I click is all you. Here it is. For all the marbles, item detail. In item detail, Greg would really just like to be able to print out a particular category, just the item view without the summary view. And maybe he just wants to include all of the red, all of the at-risk only, right? So now I'm taking all of my questions and I can sort them any which way from Tuesday with these options at the top. So this is a lot because there's suddenly a lot of new changes. So I'm currently at the score, right? And now I can say, I'm going to go ahead and include all of the items. But
Marnie, that's even
Did I-
better than what I asked for. Good job.
oh, excellent. So when I multi-select, what would you hope to have happen? Marnie, right from this view, can we just build a recommendation instead of having to click 3 times? Yes, you can. So as soon as you select one or more, I like it, create recommendation right from here. So it's a much faster, you're still within the assessment instead of having to click out and click 3 times to get to this screen. So ease of use. The other piece is a lot of people have been asking how to better configure the report with the information that we put in. So I'm going to deselect these for a minute and let's talk through these options. You can group by score or by category. So if you wanted to print out the way you're used to seeing it, you can, right? You can decide, well, I don't want to include anything that's not applicable. A hide needs attention, so you can see what happens right away. William, you can build your green report right from here if you want, right? This is all the green. You're welcome. We have already clicked the include public comments or include private comments. So I'm going to turn off private comments. And now it's just the public ones. If you do want to include the private comments, you absolutely can. They will show up. I'm going to turn that off. Some folks have even said, I'd really like to include item explanation with the question. So if you put the item explanation in there, it will show up below the item itself. So if you look in the item, you can say green all the time because we automate this with LCI. That was the item explanation. And the other piece is, I'm going to turn that off. If you have tagged an item, the tags will not show up on print, but if you would like to see them here, you can see them here. You could also filter this report and show me, I want to see this report filtered by tier 1. And now your tier 1, you know, it's then filtered by all the questions that tier 1 answered or that were level 1, right? I suspect at this point, now that I've clicked 8 buttons, your brain's kind of spinning on like, that's a lot of options. I wouldn't expect that you would use all the options. I would expect that everybody on the call finds 2 or 3 things that they really wanted to be able to do that now have the ability to do. If you have filtered by tags, this filter will stay when you switch reports. So if I go from item detail to the summary view, I'm now looking at the summary of just the tier 1 items. Those of you that have asked, can I do my questions versus my client's questions? You now could do that, right? So now it's not the verses right now, but you could print out a report that would say, these are the MSP's responsibilities. These are my customers' responsibilities. And your score, sir, who refuses to MFA with us, is terrible, but we're rocking it over here, right? So it just helps you have those conversations.
I don't know how you do it. Alexander and I were just having this conversation earlier today about how we do this. It's kind of like Alexa. You know, you talk about like going up to Culver's and all of a sudden you get all these Culver's ads, you know.
So we buy that feed from
almost.
Amazon.
This is great.
And then, yeah. You said it in front of an iPhone, didn't you? Oh.
No, I got rid of my iPhone.
Well, that's why you're an easy target. Oh.
No, this is great. This is awesome.
So I think all of these views, and then comparison report works still as it would have, or it does, sorry, as it did. Let me change to. So here's the comparison. Again, we could filter by, this is where we were last time. This is where we are now. Oh, that's right. This one's a bug. I forgot. I should have selected the dates after. So now I can just see those tier 1 items and how they've moved. So knowing this, if you filter by, this was, you know, this is where the customer was before, customer is now, etc. You get all of that filtering functionality. So I think this piece is really huge because this drop down picker is going to be in Report Builder. So each of these components will be available in Report Builder. So you could just do the summary view. or you could just do all of the item detail, or you can just do that red page. A lot of people were telling us, I just want to see the summary view and I just want to see all of the red items. You now can, because we've parsed it out. So now comments, questions, complaints, or emotional outbursts.
It's hard to want to ask for something more right now because this is awesome, but
You're a good man, Matt Claren, for saying that, because Nick was getting on a plane and was like, just can you not give me 300 new things to do
Right.
when I land? So I'm going to tell him you said that.
I just want to say I expected it from Greg. I held you to a higher standard.
the bottom view, I forget what it's called. Is it possible to only show what has changed as opposed to all the questions? So
oh, the difference. That's a good
the
one.
difference view, yeah.
It does not, I know that it doesn't do that right now, but I can put that in as a way to look at that.
Okay.
That new. Mark, while you're on the call, can you grab Cody's email and send him a booking link for a one-on-one?
Already on it.
Thank you, sir. I assumed you were. Yeah, but that's a good point, Matt, because when you've got a huge assessment, right, you just want to see what's new. 97 times is how many times you'll have to click the back button here to remember that it's there, but we'll get there quickly. Actually, the number is 90, not 97. There's studies on that.
And you probably know interest in, if you had the filter when you're on the other screen of all the different options, to come back here and have it only show those same filters.
Oh, it'll stick to this. Yeah. So if I filtered by tier 1 and it's just these questions, then you see it's got a green bar, light green at the top.
Yeah.
That's to indicate that you've got this filtered view on.
Yeah.
And then when you go to the form view, it stays filtered. The item detail view stays filtered. The comparison view also stays filtered.
Right. So if you go to item detail, it's kind of a sub filter, but the group by the included scores specifically, if I wanted to go back to the form fill out view and only show the ones that are,
oh yeah,
you know.
Oh, these filters only hold on this.
Okay.
On this page. Yeah, because this is just an on page.
Yeah.
Versus everything at the top we can get to. That's actually why they're changing it to that top bar, because if we can get it on that top bar, it can populate across pages. So yeah, when I go back to the form now, you're going to still have all of the tier 1 questions, not filtered just for red.
And so you're saying you are trying to get that functionality on this view, or?
To filter this one by all red. I have not heard that.
Okay.
I've only heard that one in the item detail, mainly for the sake of being able to build a recommendation from here.
Okay. Because it is nice. I mean, we have the workflow often of filtering to unanswered, but it'd be nice to be able to filter to red and just update them there, or whatever, right?
Yep. You can print red from this screen, obviously, but it doesn't let you update the question itself, which is what you'd want to do. Yeah. Is anybody thinking of new scenarios that they want to share? I am with tagging, etc.
I'm not sure if I followed you when you initially introduced the tags. Those are done at the item level. You configure that.
So they are saved at the item level,
Okay.
but it is across all events, right? So like whatever holds that, it is truly at the item level.
Okay.
So what I caution folks is don't think, oh, for this customer, I'm going to tag this as priority, because it's going to tag it as priority across all customers. That said, if you did have high priority, right? Alex talked 2 weeks ago about those level 1 things that are just baseline. If you work with us, you have this, that I would tag as these are my level 1s. And if they're red on any of that, then I think you could consider that a priority. Oh, yeah, Rafi just put in phases of customer journey, things we do in the first 90 days of onboarding. Then moving past that.
I like it. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Especially since we just got done talking about customer journeys.
For an hour, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the excitement that will be out. It'll be out in September. The other two pieces is we have a Saslio integration. So I'm just going to give you a sneak peek into what that report looks like. So again, this is some SaaS monitoring. And they've got a summary view and a detailed view. I'm sure we will get John to join us on this call to talk through the pieces and parts. They have a lot of different data. We also, maybe the end of next week, if not the following week, we'll have Smileback as a CSAT automation into the customer success side of the house. We will also have it as a report in more reports. So that is coming on its way too. Lastly, if you are in customer success, when you are building a stack, let me go edit a single item. You can choose to automatically, when you tag an item, a component, you can then go into an individual customer detail and tag that customer with that component. So it will auto select and automatically assign that as tagged. So you don't have to go hunt down and say, okay, they've got all my ancillary services, or I need to comment on ancillary services. So, all right, any questions outside of this that anybody wanted to cover today? I'm looking at the comments in the chat. That's a meaty chat, but I think we've got them all covered.
Yeah, and William, no commitment on a Roost or API integration kind of thing like that.
Oh man, come on.
You know, if you guys would stop asking for other stuff, we might have time to do that. That was a huge lift. So,
but it's going to solve so many problems for me.
He still wants.
I can't even begin to describe how much automation it would drive in my account management process. Like, just saving our team days of time would be like.
Hey, Alex, I got a quick question for you on the assessments. Is it on the roadmap anywhere to limit the assessment view? So if you assign one to a customer to complete, do they only see theirs when they go into the assessments instead of seeing all of them?
So that workflow piece is definitely, so we had committed to defining the requirements for some assignment and workflow pieces for the assessment. The first thing we have to do is update Report Builder to create lockers, because the notion of saving an event in time and separating it from everything else kind of goes along with that. So it is not in active development, but that is already documented as a request for it that has been approved for work, if that makes sense.
Okay, so it'll happen at some point.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
The comment I'll make about Roost for you guys is this. There's a metric boatload most of you could do with Roost, just cleaning up what's in Automate or what's in your PSAs, RMMs, ConnectWise instance, or Microsoft 365 instances and all that will give us cleaner data and make your life easier. I get it. There's more we could do with it down the road, but think about the fact that you could feed yourselves a ton better data with tools like ImiBot, Roost. What's the last one? Anyway, there's another automation platform out there. It'll come to me in a little bit.
So I want to address the LineGuard one. We haven't updated and gotten any new inspectors integrated with LineGuard. But the LineGuard functionality that we currently have, whoever asked that, does Cody. So that does work. It's but Mark is asking if we have had any other integration pieces, I think, unless I got that wrong, Mark. We right now don't have we have ideas to take assessment items for health and effort scoring and customer success, but not right now. Okay. Good. I got both Cody and Mark with that.
And then PDFs in the presentation, or the ability to attach PDFs to the presentation, not right now. It's a fairly commonly asked for thing, and we're looking for solutions for it, but it seems like it's a pretty huge lift.
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause?
So how soon can I, no, joking.
So we will build, we are building documentation, QAing now. I would suspect in a couple of weeks, this will be out and we will let everybody know, we'll set off bells and whistles and fireworks, etc.
I'll be honest, I don't read the documentation anyway, so can we just skip that part?
Just make it happen.
I
Just make it
appreciate the
happen.
transparency. I just click stuff till it breaks, and then
Hey.
somebody in the Slack channel. It's cool.
This is pretty much how it works. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't need no documentation.
We're good with that, but we are going to do some more QA on our own
just
first.
giving you a hard time.
We're going to try to keep the support tickets to a relative lull. So we're going to give QA a whirl on our end, but clearly it's pretty darn close, right? When they can put it out here where I can click through it and not break it, it's a good sign.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks all for joining.
Cool. Right on.
Take care, guys.
Have a great
Thank you
weekend.
very much. Have a good weekend.
Don't forget to update Chrome, Marnie.
Every morning.